Happy Monday, Beanstalk. Beanthoven here again with your weekly call roundup. It's been a quiet week on Discord as ETH Denver took center stage. The weekly DAO meeting was cancelled this week, but Tuesday's scheduled dev call still took place.
What we'd like to cover today is running through some of the different options for markets and what implementing those markets might look like, and then the potential trade-offs to Beanstalk and the trade-offs around developing any of those markets in the particular order. And then hopefully trying to get some clarity on which are the markets that make the most sense to start working on.
The question of using Tractor versus Seaport is still up in the air, but in either case, any asset pairing should be doable on a contract level. The question is which pairs should be facilitated with the Beanstalk UI.
Figuring out which are the products, the actual exchanges that it is in the interest of Beanstalk to facilitate is really the goal of today's call.
Publius and the dev team discussed the various factors at play and how they would add to complexity of development.
What's most substantive is, kind of the effect on indexing. It's quite clear that kind of, the UI market and the indexer are the two bigger pieces of technology that need to be built here. And from the indexer level, it seems like the less custom functionality, the better, meaning the indexer will somehow need to be able to code every single function selector that's used. So from the indexer perspective, minimizing the set of possible function selectors, makes the indexing task simpler. Now, getting back to the idea of you want to encode one large order that says Beans or USDC or ETH or et cetera, that makes it a lot harder for the indexer to process, as now it needs to do some or condition where it's assessing all five of them. It needs to have some conditional Oracle variable where it's calculating the price of Bean and ETH, Bitcoin, USDC all simultaneously, versus if it individually supports the ability to do the plot USDC pair, the plot BTC pair, the plot USDC pair, etc. It makes it simpler from the perspective of that logic already exists. Let's just add support for a new token type.
The fact that users will likely want to denominate their orders in a stable currency, rather than ETH for example, means that oracles need to come into play, which adds complexity on the indexer side.
When really thinking about a minimal viable set of function selectors, getting into the oracle territory might be getting complicated, but I guess it's kind of inevitable if multiple tokens are to be supported.
Silo Chad noted that specific ERC types are also a complexity factor.
Different asset types, ERC20 versus 721 versus 1155 probably greatly increases the complexity. So I think that constraining those would make a lot of sense.
The meeting ended on a discussion of how liquid stock and seeds would factor in.
The most interesting angle on this front is before stock is liquid, stock per BDV is really a bonus because the deposits come with the stock. Whereas after stock is liquid, the stock per BDV is really a penalty because the deposits do not necessarily come with stock.
The team noted that stock liquidity might add more complexity than it's worth at the current time.
Deposits are kind of stuck and can't really do anything. And I'm not sure how much adding stock liquidity to the equation helps solve that problem in the short term.
Some tentative conclusions were reached, although the conversation will continue.
It seems like the first market to really focus on is some pods for deposits market. And there are open questions around the complexity in terms of stock per BDV and partial filling and the complexity thereof. But otherwise, it does seem like there's, some sort of consensus on the first market to work on and how that relates to the implementation of the pods and deposits as 1155s, which would have to happen first, and stock and seed liquidity should happen after. And that seems to be where we're at. Is that correct?
I think that's our analysis.
So it probably makes sense to have another dev call on this specific market at some point in the near future, but I feel like this was a very exciting and productive call.
There's plenty of info in the full recording if you're looking to understand the context and join the discussion. In the meantime, the regular meeting schedule is back on, with the DAO meeting on Thursday and dev calls on Tuesday and Thursday. That's another week on the farm. I'm Beanthoven. See you again next Monday.